Okay, got it. So if I am mistaken, just let me know during the presentation, we can move it a bit higher. First question is, do you see my screen? Those who joined later. Okay, let me see. Yes, okay, super. Yes, so I will be talking about Oxford debates, and this is what I would like to talk about. So why Oxford style? Because I will tell you about different styles as well. I would like to talk about roles of each speaker in the team, why an argument has to be sexy, about multi-surfacing or grounds in the debate, roles of questions and points of information, also about team building, teamwork, how to set up a debating club and how important it is in the development of debating in each school, and what is an inspirational feedback. Lots of people are interested in CLIL, and lots of schools pay attention to CLIL in their schools. And I would like to show you the correlation between Oxford debates and CLIL and what teachers and students love about it. Probably would be cool if there were some students, but luckily I've got Anna. So Anna will support me probably with some arguments when it comes to talking about what are benefits about debating. Okay, there we go. So why Oxford style? As you can see, there are lots of different styles, and I didn't put them all. I just concentrated on the most famous in the world. So these are British parliamentary, impromptu debates, impromptu, which means that you don't prepare for the debate, you get a motion and you start debating immediately. There is a French style, and actually, I don't know if you've ever attended Bethany Cagnol's workshop on debating. And I need to tell you that she was an inspiration for me, and she made me, in a way, start debating. But she did it in a French style, and French style is different because there are 5 people, and the whole structure is different. When it comes to the world schools are the most famous, but that's also a different style. Speeches have 7 minutes. There are only 3 speakers, but 4 speeches. And I went to Slovenia to be trained in this style, to be a coach of world schools style. I loved the workshop. I loved the whole idea about it, but I'm not a great fan of world schools, because for me, it's far more aggressive. And what I love about Oxford style is that it's so well mannered. I mean, that we teach students this courtesy, and not to be aggressive, not to be malicious to each other, and to point out that if you become aggressive and you attack a person, you get penalty points. So students, even if they start in a different format, they are quickly told by the judges just to calm down and to concentrate on arguments rather than on being fierce fighters, so to speak. So what is the proceeding? So what I'm going to do now is to talk about Oxford style. And what is funny about it, Oxford style was not invented in Oxford. It's a Polish invention, which is transported to the world. And the number of people that become great fans of it is bigger and bigger. So what is the proceeding? So we've got 4 speakers on each side. So we've got proposition and opposition. We've got the audience, obviously. We've got Marshall, the one that precedes the whole debate, and the board of juries. It's very important to understand the role of each speaker. And here we are. So the first speaker is called the leader of the team and also the strategist. So what does this person do? And it also depends on whether you are on a proposition side or on opposition side. But basically, I will concentrate on proposition. So the first speaker kind of tells us about the world we find ourselves in. So let's talk about serious motion. What could be? We could work. Could you please write down a motion I will refer to frequently? Then I will show you some others, but it will be easier for us to think about it when we have emotion in mind. So emotion would be, every student should learn musical instruments. Every student should learn musical instrument. Okay, so what does the first speaker do? He or she talks about the situation, his or her educational system so tells about educational system, how it works, why do we talk about musical instruments, do we learn musical instruments at all, and so on and so forth. So introduces definitions. This is very important. So in this motion, what does it mean, every student? What it means, what is meant by every student? Is it primary student, primary school student? Is it high school student? What is meant by should? Okay, will it be like obligatory? Will it be optional? So it also has to be defined. And musical instrument, it also needs some kind of clarification. This person can also start introducing arguments, but usually there's no time for that. The second speaker, called the supporter of the leader, their main role is to draw a line of argumentation. So they have to justify the team's argumentation, introduce arguments, usually up to 3, but it's not like a must. They can introduce 2 well-developed arguments. Okay, it's usually 3 because the speech lasts from 4 to 5 minutes, depends on the tournament. So you have to somehow fill it in. And can introduce data, statistics, as well as respond to the opponent's introductory speech. So it's very important also to remember that the speaker can do it only if they fulfilled their role. So the main role is to introduce arguments, but if they did it in a satisfactory way, they can start beating arguments of the opposing team. Okay, the third speaker, polemical, or the politician, is the one that has to be, in a way, a fighter. Okay, so the one who very attentively takes notes and listens to the arguments of the opposing team and tries to beat those arguments, justifying why those arguments should not stay in the debate. This person has to point out some mistakes in reasoning, find some logical fallacies, and also try to say why this reasoning is wrong. Shouldn't introduce new arguments. It's not well perceived. However, this is the last moment the team can do it. And the last person, the fourth speaker, summarizing the debate, they are diplomats. They're called diplomats. Sometimes it's this mistake, and especially when we start teaching debating and we don't know much, we say that the role of the fourth speaker is to summarize the debate, and this is the way I actually put it, but it's more than that. Okay, it's not just about summarizing the debate, it's rather pointing out what happened in the debate. So the fourth speaker emphasizes what were the main clashes. So what is a clash? As a clash, because we can never predict what the clash might be in a debate. We can try to predict it, but it's like a living organism. Okay, you never know what happens in a debate. So a clash, when it happens, it has to be pointed out, because what I need to tell you about judging is that judges, in a way, have to be told in the fourth speech what happened in the debate. And this is the role of the fourth speaker. Show us what happened, what were the clashes, and what arguments stayed in the debate, and weigh arguments. Weigh means show the judges, show the audience what was more important. And also, if there is a motion with a model, I will tell you later about the model, prove that, for example, the model of your team was more probable than the model of the opposing team. And what is forbidden here in the fourth speech, and unfortunately it frequently happens, is that the fourth speaker cannot introduce new arguments. We've got two things during the debate. So during the tournament, each speaker has to accept at least two either points of information or questions. So what is a point of information? I decided to write it down just to give you an idea. So for example, imagine imagine there was a debate about John Lennon, and somebody would say John Lennon died of heart attack, and that's why many hospitals curing hearts got built. Ridiculous, right? But what the opposing team has to do in such case is to raise a hand and say, Mr. Chairman or Ms. Marshall, point of information, John Lennon didn't die of heart attack. So it has to be pointed out. So the role of points of information is to point out a mistake either in arguments or in reasoning. And question, an example, Mr. Chairman, a question, what is the correlation between low marks and crime? Sorry, there is a mistake, there's and crime. So for example, if somebody if there was a debate about Marx and somebody pointed out that there is a correlation, and the opposing team would like to investigate, like would like to know more. Okay, I was looking for a nice photograph to start this part of this presentation. So what sex has to do with debate? So I would like to clarify it quickly. And this is a very important part when it comes to argumentation. And this is the very basic of how to teach students how to build a good argument. So a good argument has to be sexy, we speak. So it has to have a statement. Can we think about this motion? Every student should learn musical instrument. So can we think about an argument? It doesn't really matter whether it's for proposition or opposition. Could you, I don't know, Anna, do you think that I could have like a kind of chat, not necessarily like live chat, but
I think you can, because like most people, I guess, are on Facebook and they're just 20, 30 people. So if they're willing to switch on their mics, I see.
Okay, I can see one very good argument. Learning to play an instrument helps develop discipline. And this is statement, okay? And this is not enough. So this is a very good beginning. So that's a nice argument. And now we have to have explanation. So what do you mean by your statement? That how does it help to develop discipline? So in this part, so you made a very good statement. Now you would have to explain what you mean by it. How is it possible that it helps to develop discipline? Then an example should be given. Do we have examples in your schools, or maybe in different schools in different countries? And the most important part of the argument is this one, because this is what we argue about. So why should I care? And very often beginners forget about it. They get very enthusiastic about coming up with arguments, and they stay on this level. And what I actually look for when I am a judge in a debate or I train, I look specifically for this part. So why should I care? So can you think? Let's take Merlin. Yes, Merlin gave us this wonderful statement. Can we think, why should I care? Playing an instrument teaches patience. This is also a statement. Can you, different intelligences, this is also a statement. Can we go back to learning to play an instrument helps develop discipline? Okay, and why should I care? Maybe I will explain it better. Why should we care about developing discipline in students? it's important to teach children about commitment rules because it makes you practice every day how effective their cognitive function is. Okay, I'll go back to learning to play an instrument helps to develop discipline. So just can you think in that way? So if we teach our students discipline, who will benefit out of it? Because okay, Marilyn, somebody wants to say something actually.
Hi there. Yes, this is Marlene, and I was, the one writing about the discipline issue with instruments, and I thought maybe speaking would be easier than just writing. And well, my question is, and maybe I didn't hear the first part, are we talking about an instrument for children? Are we teaching children an instrument, or are we teaching adults how to play an instrument? Because if we are talking about children, there are lots of things that we can learn regarding discipline, like children need to learn how to manage their time, how to commit to a team, maybe how to start even reading this new musical notes, maybe develop other kind of respect towards other children. Maybe, I mean, that was my question. Who are we teaching the instrument to?
Yes, and you are right. This is the thing I talked about when I was telling you about the role of the first speaker. And I told you that the role of the first speaker is to tell us what we will be debating about. So if the motion is everybody should learn musical instrument, the first speaker would define for his or her team what they mean by every student. So you aptly said you don't know who are we talking about because we didn't define it. So if we defined every student as a student of primary school, then we would debate about primary school students. If we if we defined every student as a student of private schools only, we would have to concentrate on this exclusively. Okay, so it really depends on your definition, and you have to stick to this definition and find arguments which are connected with your definition, how you defined, in this case, every student. Okay, so can we go back? Because Madeline, it was a very good example of a statement, and I would like to try with all of you to go through this sexy thing to make you like understand what I mean. Let me see. I care. Okay, Fernando. I care because music is one of the subjects that we're taking into consideration to adding the school syllabus. I care because I have a child and I'm thinking of enrolling him in a class to learn to play an instrument. Okay, this is why you care about the motion itself, but what I mean by why should I care is why you made a statement. So let's go back to this, to improve discipline, because this is a very good statement. Why should we care to improve discipline? Why is it important at school? Can you try to tell me? I will try, it's important because it prepares students for life, absolutely, to manage tasks, to work better, to obey rules. If I say, why should I care? And for example, I would say, because in that way, students learn to obey rules. If they obey rules, they are better citizens. Okay, you can argue with what I have just said. It's not the point. I'm trying to show you how to build an argument, that it's not enough to make a statement, to explain what you mean and to give an example. It's very important to say why your statement is important and for whom. Because at the beginning, apart from telling us how you understand the motion, so apart from telling us your definitions, you also have to tell me who is, we use actually this word, an actor of the debate. Could you tell me who is an actor in this debate? And I will remind you, every student should learn musical instrument. Who is an actor? An actor would be a student, for example, in grammar school, or student in general, actors, whole society, school society. You could say the whole society as well as school society. So you define who is the actor in this debate, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to learn how to build an argument. Lovely. And I'm sorry if it will be a shocking, but this is how I was taught how to debate. And as I said, the first slide, why so much sex about debating? So another slide will also be about sex. And this is about criteria. What are criteria? And again, let's think about our motion. Every student should learn musical instrument. And when you think about criteria, stakeholders, precisely, Anna, thank you for that. We've got social, political, educational, religious, and moral. So these are the criteria that we can accept in a debate. Could you think of our motion and which social, political, educational, religious, or moral you would build on in this motion? Okay, we've got educational, social. We've got moral, okay, and now as a team, we would argue about it. Do we have a morality here or not? Super. Can you think of another? Would we have religious here? Not really. How about political one? I'm thinking about Poland, and I immediately think about politics. Because in Poland, for example, educational system is connected with political system. So probably it would have to be talked about. So why am I talking about this? Because it might be possible. In Cuba, it would be relevant. Yes, so depending on obedient citizens. Yes. So why am I talking about criteria? Is because when you prepare a debate, you have to, when you brainstorm and you put a piece of paper and you draw a line and you try to think about arguments for proposition and arguments for opposition. When after you brainstorm, you look at your arguments and you try to see which are the most important, strong, and you see whether they're connected with social aspects, political aspects, educational, and so on and so forth. And you also mention it at the beginning, that you will draw the line of argumentation on the basis of 2-3 criteria, like social, political, economical, educational. Okay. About students in the country where learning an instrument is obligatory and their academic results maybe super. Yes. This is also a further work to be done. So research that you have to do to prepare a debate. Yes. And this is what I would like to talk about. So once you defined, so build definitions of the most important aspects in emotion, once you brainstormed and roughly wrote your arguments and also decided about criteria you would like to work on, you make research. And it teaches you, actually, I don't know what it is like in your respective countries, but I've got a feeling in Poland that our students read less and less, and they kind of copy paste things without reflecting on them and without much of a critical thinking. And debating increases their ability to make a good research, also enhances their analytical thinking and note taking. It's also good for the fact that students, in order to prepare for the debate, they prepare for both sides. So they don't work on just proposition side or opposition side. They prepare both to be able to beat arguments of the opposing team because they foresee those arguments. Okay, and it's very important that arguments have to be based on evidence and reasoning, unless, and I would like to point it out, unless you've got silly debates. And together with Anna, we conducted a silly debate, which can be seen online if you Google it. I think it was a few years ago, Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 3-5 years ago? You remember about?
I think it was one of the last times before the pandemic. You're talking about the teachers one? Yeah.
We had a silly debate.
It was Bielsko-Biała. I think it was like 4 years ago at IATEFL conference.
Yes, it was IATEFL conference. And I talked very respected teachers to do a silly thing. It was a debate on emotion, that teachers shouldn't smile until Christmas.
Yeah, I was the first speaker of proper. Can remember.
I was on the opposition side, and I don't know how come. I think there were about 300 people in the room, And obviously, and why I am talking about it, because our arguments were not based on evidence and reasoning. They were silly, okay? But we had a lot of fun. The audience had a lot of fun. And we lost. I mean, my team lost. I don't know how it happened.
To be honest, I can't remember. I remember that the room itself was very formidable. It was like such a huge auditorium that everybody looked down on us, actually. That was scary.
Yeah. Okay, but apart from like silly debates, which are also very important, and I will talk about it a bit later, arguments should be based on evidence and reasoning. So you just can't take it from nowhere. You have to research, make a research. It also teaches you critical thinking, and this is, I reckon that today it's one of the most important skills, especially in the era of fake news, so many pieces of information that are not true. You should be able to think critically, and you should teach your students to do it. And again, I will refer to what is happening in Poland, for example. It's amazing how people believe in what is on the news. Okay, it's what's on the news is sacred, so to speak, and unfortunately, it's not. And what we need to teach the young minds is to approach to the world in a critical way. Obviously, it would be very tiresome if we questioned everything and everyone, but it really helps if you're able to spot the lie. And it's not only about debate, it's also very useful in life, because being able to debate is a life skill. Team building and teamwork is absolutely vital. And as Anna introduced me as a mother of of musketeers of words, yes. Yes, I started a competition a few years ago. It was 6 years ago in Poland, because like debating in Poland is well grounded and is quite popular, but there was nothing about English debates. So after coming back from London, where one of my students represented Poland in public speaking competition, I learned there in London how debating influences, enhances learning and public speaking as well. And why am I talking about it in this context? Because the name comes from a team, actually. So because it's musketeers of words, so it's not just, you know, one guy, it's the whole team. And it's very important, because throughout the years, I was lucky to observe many teams, and it was visible when teams worked as a whole. And if there was like one person that dragged the whole team, and they were rarely successful. Okay, so it's very important that students work together throughout the whole process of preparing for the tournament, or for preparing during the preparation for the debate. Yep. And how to set up a debating club. And again, probably Anna would have a lot to say in this matter, because she is a leader of a very successful debating club. And what I can say out of my experience is that it very much helps when you make some older students responsible for the training. So you can't do it on your own, because if you lead a debating club on your own, sooner or later you will get tired of it. And it's important that you either have another teacher to support you, or all the teachers, all the students that will kind of take over your role. They will be role models. I have, they are almost graduate, but I have wonderful girls who decided to organize a debating, a tournament for the young ones. And thanks to this tournament, students from our school got inspired, got to like the idea, and they joined the club the next year, and it grew strong, and there are a lot of members in this club now. And it's very important because very often teachers talk to me, they phone me and they say, it's so problematic to build a team. And of course, you can't lead a successful debating club if you only have, I don't know, 4 good students, because someone will get ill, someone will not be able to be that involved. So it's very good to have more students, for example, to have a debate amongst each other. Okay, so that's an idea for you. And it's also very important that your students feel looked after when it comes to preparing for the tournament. And what I'm talking about is that also lots of people, and I had it at the very beginning myself, that I have to be an expert in each field. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be an expert in economy, in, I don't know, religion, politics. You don't. You simply, it's impossible. So what you can do with your students, and this is what I usually do, is that if I have someone, if I know someone, for example, a manager of a well-prosperous company, I invite him or her to have a talk about some issue. For example, when I had a debate, I can't remember when it was and what tournament it was, but we had a debate about grading. Should students, or maybe marks should be forbidden or something like this, okay? Or students shouldn't be graded, okay? So, okay, I'm a teacher, but maybe I'm not an expert in this field. So I asked an expert in the field to talk to my students. And I asked Marta Rosińska to talk to my students. So you will do better if you invite someone rather than when you try to figure out what to do. You can do it, but it will be tiring for you. It's far better when you invite experts to help you. Obviously, when we talk about serious preparation, like for some tournament, because if you just practice, you don't have to do it. And Anna, would you like to add anything when it comes to a club?
now I'm so advanced as if that I've got 2 graduates or even 3 graduates helping me out. So it takes, as I wrote in the chat, it takes a lot of burden off my shoulders, and they've got a lot of satisfaction from it. So, but this won't happen from starters, but I definitely subscribe to everything Monika said. And also would like to say that you don't have to start big with a club. You can start with a debate in the classroom, and only then try to encourage people. Maybe start with trying to encourage other English teachers in your school to like it, so that when you get this as if sparring, so tournaments between classes, that adds a lot of energy, and this competitive spirit gets people going.
Yeah, well, it's probably my like, oh, here is the photograph. I wanted to show you the thing that Anna said. This so it's not a tournament, but a kind of sparring debate. And this is a photograph taken in Warsaw. I went with my students to debate over a silly motion again. Silly, not silly, that sleeping is a waste of time. And this debate was conducted during a PACE conference for teachers, and those students debated against each other during the conference for teachers. And together with another teacher from Warsaw, we said, guys, try to approach to this motion in a silly way. So have fun out of it. And, you know, people were laughing their heads off, hearing the arguments. Like, for example, would you kill Tooth Fairy by not sleeping? Okay, so, you know, there were arguments like this. So what I'm trying to say is that because I remember being, I think, a part of a presentation. I mean, I attended a workshop in Birmingham about debating, and lots of people kind of criticized the idea of debating, that it's so competitive and that it's nerve-wracking. And I at that time, I felt really put off the idea of debating. But then I discovered Oxford debates, which are not that aggressive. And I found motions which may be delicate, so to speak, and bring some fun to the classroom. Yes, what's an inspirational feedback? This is something which is difficult, but you as teachers or debate leaders, club leaders, you should remember that your feedback is crucial in the process. And it is something you have to learn and realize the importance of it. So let's say that the debate finishes and you have to make a comment about it. It's not enough to say you lost, you won. Your arguments were rubbish. Yours were good. But it's very important to address each speaker and talk about strengths and weaknesses in their reasoning, because it also helps the process of debating and each speaker to grow. And we observed it many times, especially during the competition or during Musketeers of Words, so the championships that we organize. And there's always a prize for a speaker for the fastest growth. So we can observe how students learning from the feedback grow and develop in the way they debate. Okay. And Anna is here, super. guys, I've got a feeling that I'm like only touching the problem. I'm not getting any deeper into it, and I've got a feeling that we really need to like talk about it more. But there are a few hours that should be devoted to this workshop. So this is just I've got a feeling that this is just an introduction, and I think that it goes without saying that Oxford debate or debate itself, it's CLIL, okay? So if your schools are CLIL oriented, introducing debating is a wonderful thing, because you can use a language. So in our case, it's English language as a tool. And you can talk about economy, about politics, about historical issues, anything you please. Okay, so this is CLIL. And since we are kind of running out of time, I will move on. And to what teachers and students love about debating. What I love about it is how I see how students develop thanks to it. Like from shy speakers, usually shy, they start quick thinking, okay? How they develop, how they become strong thinkers, and also how it helps them in their life. So I will tell you about a situation. It's not just one situation, but lots of situations like that happen in the school. And since I am a homeroom teacher as well, students often come to me with their problems with other teachers. And I ask them if they argue with the teachers. And they say, no, we don't say anything, even if we see there is some injustice. So I teach them that they should try to take what they learned in a club to their real life. So it's not about being aggressive. It's not about attacking a person, because this is ad personam, and this is what you get penalty points for. But you should attack arguments, and you should listen carefully and say no, and do it in a sexy way, why you can't agree with the argument of your opponent, in this case maybe a teacher, in the future a boss, your spouse. Okay, so that's why I find it so important to teach our students debating. I'm wondering if somebody is like, debate teacher student practical reasoning. Absolutely. Yeah, so for the future paths, careers, with lots of sought after skills. Yes, I need to tell you that I've got a friend who is a manager in IT company, and he told me once that they used to look for people with skills like IT skills. Now they sought after people with soft skills, which is not that obvious, because schools, at least schools in Poland, don't teach those soft skills. So this is why it is so important. Students also like, in a way, to do things that are important, and they like to teach others. And sometimes we organize debates that are recorded, and to create a material for future generations. It's like, that sounds big, but yes. So I will only show you. I don't know if it will be visible, but just okay.
Young people coming from smaller countries, richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement, regardless of social class or circumstances of birth. But today's question is, can we still call it a national dream? We would like to focus on people, specifically those who live in the United States. It's not a surprise that this country was built on idealistic system. It had to be, considering its mix of races and what they had to do to achieve freedom. What we know for a fact is that world is changing. Every society with it as well. For years, people have been chasing blindly the image and the idea of American dream.
Okay, it's like the whole debate, but what I wanted to show you is that the motion was American dream does not exist. Okay, so as you can assume, in order you wouldn't be able to make it an impromptu speech, an impromptu debate. So what is good about it and what's beneficial about learning to debate is that students have to find information about America, what American dream was, what it is, what it means, who is a stakeholder in this debate. So I can hardly see any bad things about debating. Some people say that it's competitive and it's stressful, but we don't have to push them into debating in tournaments, but definitely teach them in a safe surrounding, so in a classroom. I don't know. As I said, I've got a feeling that it's just an introduction, very quick introduction. Thank you very much for listening to me. And should you have any questions or the need to go a bit deep in this topic, I'm really willing to do so.
There are some questions in the chat. I'm not sure whether we have enough time to answer them. They seem pretty broad to me. But it's your choice, Monika.
Okay. What is meant by environment? What do you mean, Fernando, by environment? Fernando? Somebody, how important is the environment to conduct a debate? What do you mean by that?
It's also possible for you.
Venue. I think he meant venue.
Oh, well, it really depends what you want to do. If you, as I said, you can do it in the classroom, so you don't really have to have a special venue for that. It can be like a tiny space where you feel comfortable with your teams. If you want to show off, you can go to some educational place. I don't know, to the theater, to university, where you can do it in a more, I don't know,
grand
way.
way.
Thank you, Anna.
There is also this question about how to prepare students for the debate. So if I could take this over, I think what you could do is simply practice the art of forming arguments and arguing. That's, I think, good start, good foundation, and only then you practice the roles in the actual debate. Am I right, Monia?
Yes, absolutely. So start smoothly, without that many details, actually. I would start with a simple motion a motion that is in the area of their interests, or something that they are capable of debating. So, for example, I will give you an example of a very simple motions. Cats are better than dogs. It might sound silly, or that zoos should be forbidden. Okay, so this is something that doesn't actually require a lot of research. This is something that even younger students gather, and you can start with just practicing roles. And once students understand the roles, so what is required from them, then you can go deeper. Then you can try to teach them how to build a good argument. Then you can introduce the criteria. Then you can introduce how to build a good model and how to defend it. So do it gradually, not all the knowledge, just in one time.
Okay, thank you, Monika, so much for sharing very helpful practical tips, but also showing us how important it is to take on debating, to practice it with our students, to develop their lifelong skills, in fact, through debating. So thank you very much. And I have the feeling that it's just the first webinar of a series. And thank you, Anya, for organizing this event for us today. And I hope that together with our public speaking SIG, and there is still a lot to do.
We grow strong.
Yeah.
I will show you, because Anna, I can see some some questions still. So how about just find me on Instagram or on Facebook or via email, and I will try to answer those questions.
Okay, great. So I think that a big applause from all of us for today. Thank you so much. And just talking about the technicalities, if somebody had problems with downloading the certificate from the chat box, I know that with mobile sometimes it's difficult. Here in the chat is my email address, so please contact me and I will send you the certificates, okay, if there were any problems for anyone. So thank you so much. I hope that we'll meet again at one of the next webinars, and in September in Poznan, face-to-face. Another IATEFL conference, as you could hear at the beginning. It can be a lot of fun, not only serious stuff, so please be there, join us, and just keep in touch with IATEFL Poland. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monika.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Bye.